Hey, what's up? Welcome back. In this episode, we're going to try to build out a Connect 4 game using React. We're going to use Next.js. And yeah, it should be pretty fun. I haven't done this before, so we're just going to kind of go through the entire process from scratch of playing around with Next. This is kind of like one of the first Next.js apps I'm going to play with. All right, so we're going to use npx create next app. This is a lot like create React app. It's going to build out sort of a template for us. And what we want to do is give it a name. So we're going to call it maybe Next.js Connect 4. Connect 4. And then we want to tell it to use npm for installing these dependencies. And that will build out a template for us that's going to have support for React on the front end. And Next.js is really a whole web framework that gives us the back end and the front end. We're really just going to play around on the front end today. And we could have just as easily used create React app. But I did want to play around with Next and just to have access to all the stuff that Next gives us. There's a lot of really awesome things that it has for image processing and prefetching pages and things like that. So I think what we're going to do today is try to build out a board that will have columns. So if you're not familiar, why don't we pull up, Connect 4. Let's just take a look at some images of how this works. So this is a game where you sort of put in pieces. You put in pieces, you drop them in from the top, and then they fall down to the bottom and sort of stack up on top of each other. And as they stack up, you try to align 4 of them of the same color in a row. And so it's a 2-player game where, you just add pieces into this sort of board. So I think we're going to build out a UI and try to play this. I play this all the time with my kids. It's super fun. So let's get at it. So we're going to cd into our Next Connect 4 app, and we're going to just npm run dev. This will start up Next.js compiled successfully. All right. So now we see the page that you get when you first start off with Next.js. This is sort of the welcome page. And what we're going to do is the very first thing I want to do is rip out all the stuff that's on this page. Inside of a Next.js app, you get node modules, pages, public, and styles. We'll start off in styles and just delete all of the styles, I think. We'll just delete all the styles. And then in global CSS, we'll keep that. I think it's just a reset. Public is where our static assets are going to go. So if we have any images or whatever, we'll drop those in public. And then finally, pages is where most of the app is implemented. So in index.js, this is the page that comes as part of the template. In this head tag, that's how you can manage stuff that's sort of like in the header. So this title tag will be replacing this title that's up here. So we can just call that Connect 4. And we should get hot reloading, I think. Oh, we got an error here, so we can remove that. Now we're compiling OK, and styles is not defined. So yeah, we're just going to remove all of these things that say styles dot whatever. We can keep the main class and we'll keep the header, but that's all that we really want to keep. And we'll just say like play, or maybe just Connect 4 or something. OK, and then we're going to remove the rest of the template that's here because we want to implement our own. The very first thing we want to do is sort of just build out a new component that renders a game, some sort of Connect 4 game. So we're going to have a new component here called, I don't know, Connect 4 game. And that won't take any props in, I don't think, to start. And it'll just return a fragment that has, to start off, we'll just say like, let's play. That should totally work. All right, well, whatever. So the Connect 4 game is going to be these columns where we want to enter tokens sort of in from the top. And so what I think makes most sense is just to start off by building out our grid. And I think the grid is supposed to be, it looks like it's 7 wide by 6 tall. So we're going to need to build a grid that's 7 by 6. So I was thinking we could just iterate over like some columns or something. So maybe we have the like game state here in, I think we could store it technically in like several arrays, right? Where we have an array of arrays where each of these is the sort of the content of the column. So I don't know, let's start with something like that and see how it goes. So we're going to say, let's actually use state. Can I do that inside of Next.js? Import use state from React. Game, or let's see. Game state is going to be set state or set game state. And we'll start off with a new array of 7 columns and see if we can just iterate over the game state. So then we want to say like game state dot map, and then we want to have the column map to something. Let's see, return column. I don't know if that's going to do anything here. JSON, stringify column. Let's see. How about we just return X for each of those columns? Is this doing this? Is this new array thing doing what I think? Let's see. So in the console here, if we say new array of 7, yeah, that should give us back, okay, it's 7 long, and then we want to actually populate it with stuff. Can we do that? No, okay, so it wants like, yeah, okay, so it wants to create, we need to create all of them. So let's do, yeah, let's do this. We'll do for var I equals, or maybe this is going to be the column equals 0, while column is less than 10, column plus plus, and or let initial initial.push new array of 6, and we'll set this as the initial value. Let column equal 0 while column is less than 7, column plus plus. Why is this failing here? Column is already declared. Where's it? Okay. Let column, Let's see. How's that? C has already been declared. Missing semicolon. All right, looks like we got X's. We got X's showing up, that's good. I'm gonna move this down below. All right, so we have our initial state for the columns here. And then what we want to do is for each column, we want to render some sort of HTML structure for the column data. So I think we actually want to return here like a game column or something that has the column data, or the column value maybe, and then we need to create that. So const game column is a new React component that's going to return, and this is going to take in column as a prop, and we want to return, we'll return just X for now. Okay, cool, so we're still getting back X, that's great. And then what if we want to return a div? And we'll set the class name for this to column. And I expect the column to be populated with 6 items. So again, we want to sort of map over those. So column.map cell into something where maybe we return cell. I don't know. Let's see if we can get cells showing up here. So column.map cells, and right now they're empty because again, we're pushing 6 empty things, or an array with 6 Okay, so for now, let's just do like 1, or yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and see if we can get anything showing up here. Let's inspect this. So right now we are getting a bunch of columns are being rendered, but they're all empty. And so what I want to do is console.log column to see if we're getting anything back as we're re-rendering this. Okay, so they are still coming in as empty. Why is that? It should be populating them with array with 6 items in it, right? Oh, okay, I just for some reason I need a hard refresh. It's so odd, and it's like unclear when this is actually going to automatically reload. Each child in a list should have a unique key prop. Okay, sure. Now we've got the cells showing up, but we probably want to render these as maybe like a span or something, where the content of the span is going to be the actual value that's in there. So yeah, I guess we do want to put in cell. So whatever the content of the cell is. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. So the columns are being rendered sideways now, right? And so in order to render them up and down, we need to write a little bit of JavaScript, I think, right? And so maybe we can do that here. So there's a really cool thing in Next.js. You can use styled CSS. You can say style JSX, and then with an open tick, and then you can write your CSS here. So if we have a game column, okay, so we've got our column. Let's give this a class name of cell, maybe, and we'll call this like dot column. And each column should be display flex, and each cell should be flex grow 1. And the width, or I guess the, then we also need sort of like a general class that wraps the entire board. So maybe we'll do that here. Div class name is board. Okay. And the board is also going to be display flex. And okay, so now we've got something going on here. All right, so let's make the cell have a border just so we can see what we're looking at and what we're working with. Also, I'm not sure if you can see this. I'll make it a little bigger here. So the cell, we're gonna give it a border of 1 pixel wide solid red, just so we can see what's around the cell. And we'll give the column a border of 1 pixel solid blue. And let's give this a little bit of padding too, so we can see the difference between the columns and the cells. All right, we keep getting this issue with each thing needs to have a key. So can we do key equals, I don't know. Maybe we need to pass in the ID here or something. So when you're mapping over, you can also get like the index of the item, I believe. So let's see, refresh. Okay, what's going on? Check the render method of game column. So I thought this map method would let us get x, console.log x, as like, oh, you know what? It's not like this. It's like this. It's not destructured. It's just there. Okay, so that works, I think. And then similarly with this one, I think we need a key, and that's going to be, I don't know, index or something. We'll pass that in as like a prop when we're rendering this. ID x. I don't know. We'll see. Let's see what this looks like. Column, comma x. All right. So now everything should have keys and such. What? Okay. We're still getting an error that says we need a key prop, unique key prop. So we've got a key and we've got a key. Where else do we need keys? Or maybe this is not unique. What is, okay, so let's see what's going on here. Inspect. And, okay, why don't we see that in, okay. So this, maybe this needs to be like column dash index. I don't know. Does that make it happy? Nope. Okay. Each child in a list should have, I know. Where are you talking about that? Maybe this is the one. Okay. Cell dash. Or does this need to have the column and the cell? Oh gosh. IDX dash whatever. Maybe. No. What the? Okay. Whatever. We're just going to keep going because I think it's fine. Okay, so we've got our board. It's display flex. Inside of our board, we have a column that's display flex. And we also want this one to be like flex grow 1, I think. And I think we want to like flex direction column. And let's take a look in here and see what's going on. So for the board, for the CSS for the board, what is that? The CSS for the board, we've got display flex 1. That is our container. All right, and then inside of the column should also be display flex. I don't know why that's not showing flex 1. Let's see. So on the column, if we do display flex, okay. So why isn't that being applied over here? Do we not have class name column? I wonder if this styled thing is only applying on the board. What is it? Is it applying to the cell? It's not. Okay, so I think that might be the issue here. So we want to apply the styled stuff in the component where it's happening. Oh, wow, look at that. Okay, so that's cool. So it's now showing us in columns, it's showing us all the columns that we need. That's awesome. All right, so the next step here is, and also this is super cool. It's like scoped, the CSS is scoped to the component. I really like that because it doesn't bleed out into your other components. So that's cool. All right, but we have a problem because I think the first item in the cell, or like the first item in the column, this one should actually be at the bottom. And so there's a cool thing with flex direction where you can do column reverse. So now this is, yeah, okay, so now 1 is at the bottom, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So what I want to do now, I think, is like make it so that you can click on a column and it will start adding things to this data for the column. But again, now we need to make this new array of 6. Let's see if that works. Maybe. Okay, so that is not going to work. So we do need it to be something that represents null. That is not actually null. Let's see if this is going to work. That's not enough. Okay, maybe. Oh, wow. Okay, so they're not tall enough now. All right, so now we got to go to the cell and say like height is, I don't know, 20 pixels. Okay, so at least we've got columns now that are empty. Now what we want to do is say like when you click on one of these game columns, we populate the column with something. I don't know. So we'll have to figure out what that is. But the thing is that the game state is being managed here in the Connect4 game, which is the parent component to this game column. So I think we actually want to pass in like something else inside of the game column, maybe some like click event. So on click, we can pass it this something that will fire. So maybe we say like add item or add piece. I don't know, add token, add something. Okay, so when we click on the column, we're going to call a function in this component, const add piece, and that's going to do something. So maybe we're going to be, yeah. I guess we could also pass in x here. We would know which column it is. So add piece of x, and then we can see add piece for which column. And then we can say game state at column. I wonder if that will work as expected. So console.log game state at column. And let's also log column. And hopefully that is going to do some cool stuff that we expect. Maybe not. So we're passing down this prop, right, on-click prop, to the game column, but that hasn't actually been registered on any HTML components inside there, because that's actually being passed down as a prop. So now we have to say like on-click. And then I'm just going to attach it to the column up here and just say on-click, do on-click, and I think that might do stuff. I don't know. Let's see. So, nope. Oh, cool. Great. OK, so that is giving us the right columns. So that's cool. Oh, gosh. OK, so how do we want to do this? I think what we need to do is when we click, we need to figure out how to add the piece. So maybe we also need like a current current player or something. Use current player, set current player, and we'll just use X's and O's for now. And so we'll have a current player. When we add the piece, we want to say like we want to call set game state and update the whole game state, but we want to update it such that we have added that piece into the game at that column. So we actually want to create a new game state that is basically the existing game state except for that one column. So how do we do that? I guess we actually can get, this is kind of more like the column index. And so I think we want to say something like the column is equal to game state at column index, and then what we want to do is say like let's just put the current piece in the first column, or like in the first cell for this for now, current player, and then we will say game, or like I guess, okay, so we need to spread. Ooh, this is going to be tricky because we need to spread everything up to that index, or we need to like create a new array of arrays. Ooh, interesting. Interesting. Is this how we want to do it? So I'm thinking instead of using an array as like the game state here, we might want to use an object so that we have specific keys. And we can say something like okay, so game state dot map. So this is no longer a thing. So now we want to get like game state dot okay. So we want to iterate over all of the columns. Yeah, how do we do this? Okay, so we want to make sure that the order is maintained, but I think that might be okay. I think it's dot entries or something like this, right? So we want to get, if we have like A is some object, A dot entries, or maybe it's object dot entries, and then we give it A, and that gives us all the entries. So if we say A is something that has like 1 pointing to some array and 2 pointing to some array, and then we say object dot entries for A, that gives us back the 2 arrays. So we can, I think we can say something like object dot entries for game state dot map, and then we'll iterate over those things. Oh, look at that. Okay, So we have stuff. This looks really weird because, let's see. So now if we click on it, what's happening? Nothing? All right. Console.log column index. And okay, odd. So what? Oh, okay. So we haven't finished. We haven't finished placing the pieces. So we've got our column here. Column at index 0 is giving us back the column, and we're setting it equal to the current player. And the other thing that's going on, or that's weird, is that this entries, we're like mapping over it, but I don't know if we're getting what we expect. So okay, so this is the two arrays, right? And if we iterate over that dot map x and I, do we get x and I as expected? We do, but they're in the opposite order. Wait, why does this have a 1 in it? Object.entries. Oh, you know what? I think this is going to give us the key and the value, right? And then we need like key value. Yes. Okay. Okay. So when we map over object.entries, this actually gives us key and value, which, okay, so now we're back to normal. Or, oh, the game state is being updated, but it's not being updated. So now we need to say set game state, and we have to set this back up so that it equals, it's like we want to spread game state, and we want to set column index equal to column, something like that, I think. No, set game state to an object. Okay, is that, oh man, it's working. Okay, so now what we need to do is figure out, okay, if we've already put a piece at the bottom, then the current piece needs to be put on top of that piece. So I'm really frustrated that this doesn't let me just put in nulls. Like, let's see. And if I refresh this, oh, it does. Okay. I think it's supposed to be 6 tall. 6 tall. So now if I put a piece in there, okay. So now what we want to do is figure out the first null position, right? And replace that with, instead of just using 0 here and setting the first, or like the lowest value as x, every time we click on it, it should add a new piece above x. How do we want to do this? There's probably some fancy cool way to do this. Index of null or something like that, like const piece position is equal to column.index of null, maybe, and then piece pause. Does that give us what we want? Let's see. Oh, look at that. Oh my gosh. Holy moly. Okay, so this is probably not, like, honestly, like, not the best way to do this, but null is telling us where there's empty spaces, and then the pieces are telling us where there's the pieces. So I think that's all right. The next thing we want to do is, like, every time you place a piece, you should switch the player to the other player. So we want to do something like toggle the player after we've done this bit. So we want to set current player equal to current player. If the current player is x, then we want to set it to O, otherwise set it to x, something like that. There might be a fancier way to do that also, but oh, look at that. Okay, so This is totally playable. Boom. Okay, so that should be a win right there because this is 4 in a row. If we take off the border and we just have like clicking on these, then I think we're getting pretty close. But let's put the border back and let's try to get the content in like the center of the cell. So I think we can use like justify content center, maybe. Let's see. Maybe justify, is it justify items center? I can never remember this stuff. Okay. Maybe that needs to go up here. Okay, justify content center. Maybe it's align items center. Oh gosh, do I need to do display flex on this too? Okay, so that got it up and down. And then justify content center. Ooh, boom, look at that. Okay, so now we have our items and they're appearing in the center of the cells. That's pretty sweet. The next thing I want to do is replace X's and O's with like some sort of emoji. So let's have some fun with emojis here. What should we use? I think the pieces in the game are like yellow circle and red circle. Maybe we should make these constants. I don't know. X piece is this yellow circle, and then O piece is the red circle. The benefit of having these sort of stored as constants somewhere is that we can just use them in a bunch of different places and we don't have to keep typing emojis in our code. X piece, and then down here we can do X piece. Okay, so now if we do, all right, look at that. That looks sweet. Okay, so one thing that's missing is the satisfying feeling that happens when you slide that bottom. Like when you slide the bottom of Connect 4 and all the pieces like slide down and crash out to the bottom. But I think that's all right. I think it's okay. The other thing is that as you enter pieces in, the width is changing, which I think is all right. But it's just kind of like weird that it grows like that. So let me know down in the comments if you are a CSS master. Is there a better way to do this? Like, or was this kind of the way that you would have done it? And yeah, then okay. So I think we've got like the rough user experience or the rough sort of UI figured out here. So I am going to take away the red border because I think that's the most distracting. And then I think that's pretty darn close to what we want. The next step, I guess, would be to try and figure out if someone has actually won. So after every time we add a piece or make a move, we want to check and see if the game is over. So after we have done set game state and set current player, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, let's check and see if actually we might want to do it like right here, like game over, right before we swap players. So let's make a new method, game, if game over, like alert, game over. I don't know. We can come back and mess around with this. So now we just make a new method, const game over, and this is going to look at the game state and try to determine if there's any four elements in a row that are the same color that are not null. And that could be up and down, or it could be left and right, or it could be diagonal. And so let's try to figure out how we might want to check and see if the game is over. Let's start with up and down because all of the pieces in the same column are going to, that's going to be the easiest thing to check. All right, I'm just going to play around here and let's explore. Let's explore. So I'm going to say, how do we work from the back? All right, so the other thing that's on my mind is that if we were just tracking 2 at a time, so if we make the problem a little bit smaller and we were looking for 2 in a row, then we might just use like a front and a back and then just kind of work our way through and check to see like So yeah, let's try that. So like for var c is equal to 0, c is less than 7, c++. So that's going to give us our columns. Okay, and then we're gonna find each column. So we're gonna say let column equal game state at c. So that gives us the column. Then we're gonna say for var r, which is the row, is 0, r less than 6, r++. Now we want to get each individual cell, and we want to see is if actually, I think this can actually go to 6 minus 4. And then we want to say like if the column at r is the same as the column at r plus 1, and the column at r plus 1 is the same as column at r plus 2, and the column at r plus 2 is the same as the column at r plus 3, then we have a winner, I think, right? So return true. So if game over, we're going to alert true. Okay, so let's just see if this crazy idea here works. So game over, of course. Okay, so we also want to check if it's not null. So if column at r does not equal null, and okay. So now we refresh. Oh, boom, game over. But it's alerting, whatever. It's alerting before we see the game state, but that's fine. Okay, so that is totally working. For check if there are any 4 in a row in a column. Now let's do this. Let's do this again, but let's set it up so that we get them in a row, but on top of one another. Okay, so that didn't work, right? So r is 0, r is 0. It's not there, so r is less than, okay, so r++, then r is going to be 1. That's still less than 2. And then r is 1, 1 is not null, and does the cell at 1 equal, no, it doesn't. Okay, r++. So that, okay, maybe this needs to be -3. Okay, so that worked. All right. Okay, so we had an off by 1 error here where we were ending too early. Up here also, instead of using column directly, we could have used game state. So in fact, like if we just replace all this with game state, or we want to replace column with game state at C. And I think that should still work. Let's see. Probably should have some automated tests or something. Okay, cool. That still works. So the reason I wanted to do it that way is that that makes it easier to like sort of just swap out. Yeah, no, let's make 2 loops. Okay, let's keep them the same though. So now this is going to be 7 minus 3, and this is just going to be 6. And then instead of r plus 1, now we want to do c plus 1, c plus 2. Something like that. Okay, let's think about this for a second. So if the game state at that column and row is not null, and it equals the same game state at the same row that is the same as the next column over, and the next column over is the same as the next column over, and the column over is the next. Okay, so I think that's going to work, maybe. Let's see. Boom, nice. Okay, so that is now working for these, the rows. Now what we need to do is check and see if there's any 4 in a row in a diagonal. I don't want to bore you with me trying to butt my head against this thing and figure out exactly the logic for how we're going to implement game over. So I'm just going to bang that out, and then I'm going to tell you about it in just a sec. All right, so now we have a game over function. The way that we chose to implement this was to check and see if there were 4 in a row for each different sort of possible solution. So this is obviously not the best, right? So we are looping over all of the columns, and then we are checking the game state for each of those columns to see if there's any 4 in a row in a column. Again, we're looping over similar stuff to check and see if there's any 4 in a row. And then we are looping over to check and see if there's any 4 in a diagonal up and to the right. And then we're checking to see if there's any 4 in a row that are diagonal down to the right. So up to the right and down to the right. So the crux of the problem here is that, like, as you're iterating, you want to like make sure that you're not going out of the index or out of range, right? And so like as you're incrementing the adjacent cells, so here we're saying like if the game state at this specific column, so this grabs a column and tells us whether or not something at that row or the row above it, right? Or the row above that or the row above that, if they're all the same, then we are going to return true. And so otherwise, by default, we'll just return false from this function, return false, and the game will continue on. And then what we want to do down here is instead of alerting game over, we'll change some game state. And so we'll say, you know, like the winning player, or like winner, the winner, and we'll say set winner. And this is going to start off as null. And we'll say down here, when we check if the game is over, we'll set winner to current player. We'll do that right before we swap the current player. And I think that should store who the current player is. And then down here inside of the board class, we can say like if winner, then we'll render something. Else we want to render everything else here, I think is how we might want to do this. I don't know. Well, I guess you have to do this. You have to do this like winner and thing, right? Shoot. Okay, so maybe we say like if winner, we want to return like h1, and winner is the winner slash h1, and then otherwise we'll return all the rest of this business here. That way we get a more sort of React-y feeling thing. So let's see if we can, oh, boom, yellow is the winner. Awesome. Okay, refresh the page, and let's see if we can get, oh, red to be the winner. Boom, red is the winner. Amazing. All right, cool. So I'm going to call one of my kids in here to play, and I think it should be pretty fun. All right, Logie.
Okay.
All right, let's play Connect 4. Okay. So you want to go first?
Yep.
Okay, pick a column and click on it.
I'll go right here.
Ooh, okay, nice. So you're yellow. I'm going to go here. Okay, you go.
Wait. Oh. I think it has two. Did you look at extra Connect 4?
Yeah. Does it have too many?
Yeah, it has too many slots.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think it should work. Okay. Oh, I went to. All right, your turn. Okay. Blocked.
Yeah, because if you play it this way, yeah, that's not fair. Okay, now there's no way to make stuff unless you go up. Yeah, it's too many columns, I'm pretty sure.
You think so? Okay, let's see. Let's see.
I'm trying to cat's game.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I want to make a cat's game.
Okay, let's see.
Blocked, yeah.
You blocked me?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, your turn. Nice.
Oh. it's gonna be a cactus game no matter what.
You think so? Oh, okay, your turn. Okay, here, let me go there.
No.
I went too. Oh, you're the winner. You won. Oh my gosh. Wait, did I win or did you win?
You won.
I won. Okay. All right.
You go look at Connect Forward on.
I have it up.
Okay.
It's right here. It's the right size. This is the right size. I need to, you know what? I need to make it more obvious. Okay?
Yeah, you need to make it smaller.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
All right. All right, that was fun. So we got some user feedback. The user feedback is we need to make the actual slots more obvious. But yeah, we can do that with CSS. And yeah, it was fun. Hopefully you enjoyed. That's yes, we played around with. Mostly it was just React stuff, and we used style JSX inside of our game component here. But yeah, and most of the time we spent actually figuring out if the game's over or not. But that was tons of fun. Thanks for hanging out, and yeah, we'll see you next time. Cheers.